part is a lot of it's just review, okay? And there is just like when we did stuff with integers, just like when we did stuff with, when we do stuff with percents, okay, with exponents, that kind of stuff, there's a procedure that we have to go through to solve these, right? There's a procedure we have to go through to solve things, right? Okay. In other words, there's a series of steps that I want you to follow when you solve something, right? Okay. So this is solving equations review part 1. Okay. All right. So when we are talking about equations, if I have this, what is that? Is that an equation?
Yeah.
No. What is that? Numbers, but what is that? That's an expression. That's an expression, okay? Can you solve this? No. What can you do? Can you simplify that? Can you evaluate that? Yeah. What is that? 10. Okay. What about this? What is that? That's an equation. Okay. You don't evaluate an equation. You don't simplify an equation. With an equation, you solve it. Okay. In other words, you're going to figure out what x is. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's just take this equation right here. X plus 3 equals 10. Now this is easy. We already know what the answer to this is, right? Okay. But what if I said I want you to prove it to me that x equals 10? How would you prove it? Okay. Well, first of all, what kind of equation is this? 1 step, 2 step, 3 step? 1 step equation. There's 1 step to solve this, right? And when I do 1 step, or anytime I take a step in an equation, okay? Here's an equation. It's already there. But in order for me to solve it, I have to undo stuff, right? Rise and shine and give God the glory. Okay, so when we take a step, okay, we're going to undo something that's happening. Okay, so what this says is x, which we don't know, which we do know, but we don't know, plus 3 equals 10. That means something plus 3 equals 10. What's happening to that x? We're adding 3, right? That's what's happening. If you read this, x plus 3. So how would we undo adding 3? Noah? You would subtract 3, okay? You do the opposite of this. You subtract 3. And equations are balanced, right? Meaning there's an equal sign in the middle. Whatever you do to one side, you what? Got to do to the other. So if I take away 3 from this side, I also have to take away 3 from this side. Okay? You guys should write this down because this is how I'm going to expect you to show me this. Okay? What happens here? What happens with these? They cancel out, which is what we want. What's left over there? X is all that's left. What's 10 minus 3? Okay, now, how can we know for sure that we were right? We can go back and substitute, right? If I replace this x with a 7, is 7 plus 3 10? Yeah, so did we do that right? Yes, we did, okay? You guys remember doing this? We've done this before. It's easy, okay? Now, what if I have something like this one, okay? I've got 20r equals negative 180. What does this mean? What does 20r mean? Multiplication. So I had addition before, and I undid it by subtraction, right? Okay. You can also look at this like an x and a positive 3, like they're two terms, and I get rid of that positive 3 by taking away 3. Okay, well here, I've got 20 times r. There's no way around it, right? So what would I do to undo 20 times r? What's the opposite of multiplying? Levi? Division. So I'm going to divide both sides by whatever number is in front of that variable. Whatever number is being multiplied by the variable, which in this case is what? 20. Okay, what happens to these? They cancel. What's left? R. Now I have a negative divided by a positive, so no matter what the number is, it's going to be what? Negative because those are different signs, right? Now what's 18 divided by 20? 9. My answer would be negative 9. Now if I was to go back and replace that R with a negative 9, 20 times negative 9, is that negative 180? Yes, it is. So did we do that one right? Yes, we did. Question, quick.
Does all equations have a variable?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at this one. Okay, I have n minus 5 equals negative 6. Okay, so first of all, I need to get n by itself, right? I can think of this two ways. I can think of this as an n and a negative 5 because I can't combine those because I don't know what n is, right? Right? Okay, you guys got to wake up. Now, how do I get n by itself? What can I get rid of over here so that n is completely by itself? The minus 5. How would I get rid of a minus 5? I would add 5. And whatever I do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay, because remember, guys, what does equal mean? If I have a $5 bill over here, and I have an equal sign, what has to be over here? A $5 bill or 5 ones. Those equal each other, right? If I take $1 off of this, are they still equaled? No. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Does that make sense? Okay. So if I add 5 to this side, what must I also do? Add 5 over here. Okay, what happens to these? Come on, what happens to these? They cancel. And n, if you owe 6 and you have 5, what happens? You owe 6 and you have 5, what happens? You owe 1, don't you? So that's a negative 1. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. What if I have one that looks like this? X over 16 equals negative 6. Well, what is this? What's happening here? What's happening to my variable? It's division, right? So how do I undo division? I'm going to multiply. Now, do you guys remember how we do this kind? You put parentheses around the whole thing because we're going to multiply. Okay, do you guys remember this? We take this whole equation, we put parentheses around the whole thing, and we're going to multiply each side by whatever we're dividing by. What are we dividing by here? 16. What happens to these? Cancel. What's left? X, that's what we want. And what is 16 times negative 6? Negative 96. Okay? You remember how to do one-step equations? Yes? Okay, good. Our next part is two-step equations. Can I erase this? Yeah? Okay. All right, so let's say I've got something like this. X minus 1 divided by 5 equals 2. Okay? Okay, if you remember, when I have more than one step, are these one-step equations? These are two-step equations that we're going to have to take 2 steps, okay? I'm going to first start with, who remembers what I do with two-step equations? We did this a little bit last year. Anybody remember? Whatever is directly connected to that variable, what do I do with it? Anybody remember? Come on. Dum-dum for who remembers. No? Put it in a box. Remember putting it in a box? Okay? So what is directly connected to this variable? X minus 1. We're going to put that in a box. Okay? What's happening to x minus 1? It's being what? Look at it. What's happening to it? It's being what? Divided by what? 5. By 5. So in order to undo dividing by 5, we're going to multiply both sides by 5. So what happens to these? They're gone. What's left? X minus 1. What's 2 times 5? 10. What do we now have? What do we turn this into? A one-step equation. What are we going to do here to solve? Add 1, add 1. These cancel. What is 10 plus 1? 11. Now, if we were to put an 11 in place of that x, would that be the correct answer?
Yes.
What is 11 minus 1? 10. What's 10 divided by 5? 2. So did we do that one right? Yes, we did. Okay. Do you remember doing that? Yes. What? Put which one there? Which one? Are you talking about this? Right here?
Yeah, why do we do the ones?
Because this x is not by itself. It has a minus 1 over here. So we add 1 to both sides to get this x completely by itself. Okay? Okay. Are we good on that? Okay. What about one like this? X divided by 7 plus 8 equals 6. What do you think I'm going to do here? Is this a two-step equation? Yeah, so what am I going to have to do if it's a two-step equation?
Put it in a box.
Divide, or put this first thing in a box. Now, when I look at this box, what's outside of that box? Everybody look outside. What's outside that box? A plus 8. How do I get rid of a plus 8? You minus 8 here, and you what? You guys should be writing this down. You minus 8 here. At least pay attention or pretend like you are. Okay? What happens to these? They cancel. What's left? X divided by 7 equals, what's 6 minus 8? Negative 2. Okay? How do I solve this now? What is happening to x? It's being what? Divided by 7. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. Okay? These cancel. What is negative 2 times 7? Negative 14. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? It's just a series of steps you got to go through. Okay? And by the way, all of this stuff, if you just put x equals negative 14, I'm going to say good job, but I'm not going to give you credit. Okay? Why do I make you show all these steps? Why do you think? Noah? Well, part of it is to prove that you understand it. But guys, these are 2-step equations. We're going to be doing 6, 7, 8-step equations. Okay? If you don't know the process of how to do this, you're not going to be able to do 8-step equations in your head. I promise you won't. Okay? And if you do, it's going to take you far longer than just going through the steps. Does that make sense? Okay? That's why you have to show me. Okay? Plus, if you mess up, I can see where you messed up, right? Not that you're going to mess up. Okay. All right, do we understand that one?
Yes.
Okay. All of this should be reviewed. This shouldn't be new to you guys, okay? All right, what about this one? I've got 8x plus 1 equals negative 95, okay? All of these, by the way, are different formats of equations you're going to see on your worksheet. Got it? So what do I do here? What should I do? Sam?
You should put 8x in a box.
Put 8x in the box, and the reason that's in the box is because it's directly connected to that variable, right? What is outside the box, Sam?
1
Plus 1, right?
Yeah.
How do I get rid of plus 1?
by minus 1.
I subtract 1, and I subtract 1. Okay, what happens to these? They cancel. What's left? 8x. If you owe me $95 and you borrow another one, how much do you owe me? 96. Okay. What's happening to x? It's being what? It's being multiplied. 8x means multiply 8 times x, right? How do I undo that? Divide each side by what? By 8. These cancel. What is negative 90? First of all, negative divided by a positive is definitely going to be a what? Negative. And what's 96 divided by 8? Huh? 12. Okay, good. You see how we got that one? Yeah? Okay. Say it one more time. You multiply what? No, you're dividing. You divide each side by 8 to get x by itself. Okay, this is how we get negative 96 divided by 8 is negative 12. Make sense? Okay. Okay. Let's take a look at one like this. Let's say I've got this. Okay. 2 minus 4b equals 46. What's different about this one? Is our variable listed first on this one? No. And what do you notice is in front of that variable? Negative sign. So when we use our box on this one, should I do this? Why? Because I would just have a negative floating out here, wouldn't I? Okay, so what should I do? If I make my box, I should include this, correct? Okay, so what's happening with this 2? What kind of 2 is that? It's a positive 2 because there's not a negative sign, right? So what do I do? How do I get rid of a positive 2? I subtract 2 and I subtract 2. Okay, those cancel. Bring this down. So I have negative 4b. What's 46 minus 2? 44. What's happening to b? I'm dividing it by, I'm multiplying times what? Negative 4. So I divide everything by negative 4. These cancel. What is 44 divided by negative 4? Negative 11. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, that's the kind of equations you're going to see on your worksheet today. This should be a review, guys. Agreed? Okay, so I'm going to give you your worksheet and let you get started on that. Any questions at all?